Well, good evening and welcome to this Wednesday, December 23rd edition of the Island Stat Sports Show. I'm joined by co-host Juggling Jason. I'm your host, Earl Baston. And tonight, later on, we'll be joined by members of the Bermuda Women's National Football Team. And we're going to be talking to them about school, football, marrying the two together, working it out, and still being on top of their game. We also want to talk to them about the women's senior opportunities that will take place next year, and we'll just get into that. But Jay, obviously government has put us back into kind of a no-contact sport activities. We had tennis played last weekend. Pretty much that was it. Archery also took place this weekend. But there's always light at the end of the tunnel. We're in our festive season. We would usually have a lot of football played over this period of time, especially Boxing Day and New Year's Day, along with harness racing, motocross. Those three will not take place this year or January 1st, as it is right now. But how do you see things materializing over this holiday period?
As I've seen 2020, the unknown. Who knows, man? It's man, for a fan of sports, it's rough, as they would say. But Earl, I would say this for all the organizations: to not stop. I mean, always keep planning ahead. This could be time to be doing more work within the organizations itself, whether it's infrastructural, fixing up fields and doing different things of that nature. Obviously, we can't have no big crowds, but it gives us opportunity to fix up maybe our facilities at the same time, or having those talks along with government to see what we can do to fix up the facilities. So when the players and the athletes come back to these facilities, I mean, it's always something to do. And as far as the athletes, well, what we've been trying to do all 2020 is the hardest part is to stay fit. Because when you're home, and especially over this period of time, macaroni and cheese, cassava pie, and turkey,
Sure.
and especially that Christmas Day, Boxing Day meals, and they add up.
Yeah.
But it's especially for a lot of the athletes, and you've seen that with athletes coming off of breaks, especially with these COVID breaks, getting back into the sport and then picking up hamstring injuries, little muscle injuries, and things of that nature. And we know what that's attributed to. They would say a lack of training or whatever, stretching or things like that. So I would say definitely during this time, touch base with your nutritionist if you have one. Touch base with your trainers if you have one. If you don't, please, because they might give you some insight how to stay fit, not only during this situation, but after.
Yeah. I mean, there's always the opportunity to train one-on-one with a coach, or remember, it's groups of 10.
Yes.
You, on a big field, you can social distance doing all sorts of drills. And I know some teams, some coaches have had that opportunity to have maybe 5 or 6 guys down to continue to work with them each day. So it'll be a different group of people. Just putting in the time to ensure that once things do get back up and running, you already have that head start kind of thing. And I know for many, we'll talk football right now, but in the Premiership or the Premier Division, you're going to have to, especially the teams at the bottom, there's no time to kind of wait around and see when and if the association will get the green light to go back into action. You almost have to be ready prior to that. So training, especially the fitness part, is going to play a pivotal role. You can work on your fitness. You could sit down and do technical drills and all that, and then the next group come in and you do the same thing and all that, and then and once you get the go ahead to get back into full training, you put all those pieces together. So one night you'll have your defenders, the next night you'll have your midfielders, the next night you'll have your strikers, and then who's ever left over, you utilize them, but that's being creative. It's just another way to do it.
You are absolutely right. And I'm thinking just my head now, thinking as a coach. if my team is struggling, as you would say, at the bottom of that division, because 3 teams are going down, you might be able to catch a few teams off guard coming back in when you open back up if you're fit. Just being fit, because some teams are going to come back tired, not be able to withstand the 90 minutes of a game. So just being fit alone, yeah, you might be hanging around the bottom of the table, but if you come back fit, you might catch a few teams off guard. And like you said, I'm thinking of set pieces, how important set pieces can be, whether it's free kicks, whether it's corners, whatever the case may be. These are things that you can work on now.
Yeah. It's also, you're looking at maybe top teams are doing the same thing, because like you said, they don't want to get caught out in the event that the go ahead and we've got a week to be prepared to start back up again. You want to make sure that the guys are still in some sort of shape, still mentally and physically, as best they can. I mean, in Bermuda, we all understand it's an amateur sport, but the teams that work hard together are the teams that end up, on top most of the time.
Also thinking about it, Earl, the schedule's going to be compact.
Oh, definitely.
Right? So it's going to be many weeks where you'll be playing 2 games a week.
Yeah. The teams with the bigger squads will benefit from this COVID stuff, as opposed to the teams with limited. If you have a bunch of injuries or your squad wasn't big from the start, you might find yourself in a big problem by the end of January, that you might not be able to, the team you feel probably are makeshift guys.
And, I see, listening to a lot of the press conferences from the Premiership in England, EPL, during this time of the season. And then very similar to with the NBA starting up last night. Well, yeah, last night. Last night, the season cut to 72 games instead of 82. But the amounts of games that will be played in a short amount of time, they're looking at not having so many training sessions. Because it's just enough time to basically play, recover, and play again.
Yeah.
So, and that's in a professional outfit. So just imagine on the amateur side of it, when people are still working at the normal job. So I hate to say this, their coaches might have a lot of frustration because things they might want to work out on the practice field might become slim to next to none.
You have to work it out in the games. Yeah. I mean, everybody's faced with the same problem. It's how you manage this period of downtime and what you're doing with your athletes. The same's going to go for hockey, for rugby, for any team sport, netball. They started to train. They were getting ready to start their season. Then it's lockdown. But they can still do small things if they're allowed to do that in small circles and so forth, just to keep the enthusiastic ones involved, to make sure that like I said, when you get that go ahead from the health department, from the government, everybody wants to be ready to go. Not just because they say go, and you just say, okay, we can go, but you're not prepared to go. And then you're asking people to do things that are almost impossible because you haven't worked with them or they haven't done anything. They've sat on the couch for this period of time. This is a time that a lot of athletes, a lot of people will say, you know what, okay, I don't usually get a chance to be home during this period. So let me do the family thing. Let me sit around and watch TV and have these snacks and socialize with the family and talk and do those things that we don't usually do. But we have to look on the other side, that they have to keep encouraged in, okay, let me take an hour to do something that will keep me in shape. So when I'm ready when things do kick back in, I'm not that far behind.
I'm really been thinking about the Carifta athletes, actually.
Yeah.
especially the track athletes, or even swimming too, because they need competition.
Yes.
They need competition. They can do a lot of things on their own as they would normally do, but
Mhm.
competition side, I would think, especially if we're due to host Carifta, and that's going to probably, I know you're going to probably have an announcement soon. That's on an update regarding that probably next month, because that's due to be what, in April?
Yeah.
So it's going to be some type of announcement, whether we're going ahead with it, whether it's going to whatever. It's going to be something. I know you got your ear on the ground, but in saying that, we would love to have our athletes competing
Well,
some sport.
we've seen just this past weekend, Cayman Islands had a track meet, Jamaica had a track meet, Bahamas had a track meet. We were due to start our track meets in January, so that's still a possibility. Obviously, like you say, yes, we want to be able to have our athletes in competition. We've had a few swim meets. They plan to do some more. But the unknown for them is, will these competitions come off? I did have a chat with Mike Sands, who is the president of NACAC, who actually are the overseers of the Carifta Games.
Mhm.
And he has assured me that we will have a conversation early January once all the logistics have been worked out. And in our conversation, he said cancellation is not an option. So there are several options on the tables for um, the participating countries to get back to the Bermuda National Athletic Association and NACAC on. The deadline for that, I believe, is Friday. No, next Friday. Yes, next Friday. They will then have a meeting and go over some of the options, and then have a vote to decide which is the best option. And then from there you go to, okay, who's going to be available to come, and you go from there. But Mike Sands has assured me that we will have a chat once all this is sorted out, and I look forward to we stay in touch on a weekly basis on just what's going on around the region, and I'm grateful to be in that position that somebody of that stature is entrusting me with information that and we talk openly, and it isn't until he's ready to
Release.
announce it that I'm willing to even go any further into detail. But he did indicate, and he has indicated on several occasions, that cancellation is not an option for Carifta 2020.
I mean, that obviously, to hear that is definitely pleasing, but the reality is, this league, before coming on, looking at the American news, more record numbers.
Yeah.
And we're talking about people traveling. We're looking at our restrictions here on our island getting tighter and tighter. More things put in place, especially with traveling. So that's really going to be what's going to happen within the next month or so. And experts are expecting it to be another surge of sort. Obviously, be with a lot of folks we're going for Christmas and the gatherings at Christmas time. So not just here, but just around the world. It's not just here. So it's
I think the other thing that we have to keep in mind is that they are deep into their cold and flu season as well.
yes.
The temperatures are not favorable, especially on the East Coast and mid. I know over on the West Coast, obviously it's still a bit warm, but they have issues over there as well. So when you start throwing in the cold and flu season, and the numbers are just rising, it's something that we also have to keep an eye on as well. So we will look forward to how things materialize in Bermuda. As we got indication today, there were some 1,200 tests, 0 positive.
That's been
It's been a long time. It's
that
been a long time. It's been a long time.
we've
So
been averaging like 10 per thousand last probably 2 weeks maybe.
yeah. So It's only a start, but it's a start of seeing something good. Tomorrow might be a totally different day, might be totally different numbers. But if we see a zero today, there's a possibility we can hopefully see a zero tomorrow.
We gotta match you, man.
Well, we're going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, Jay, we're going to be joined by members of the Bermuda women's national team who are also in school in the U.S., and we want to talk to them about how they're balancing the two. We'll be back after this message from our sponsor.
We've already sung the praises of Welch's famous grape juice, so healthful and refreshing, a truly great family favorite. So with the festive season fast approaching, remember to stock up on Welch's sparkling juice cocktails, flavorful and thirst-quenching, another celebration of the greatness of the grape. The Welch's White, Red, and Rosé are all wonderful on their own, but for a special seasonal treat, try Welch's sparkling juice cocktail in festive punch recipes, garnished with cinnamon sticks or fresh cranberries. All non-alcoholic and also festive. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
And welcome back. We are joined by Chechule Derlin, Jaden Masters, Leilani Nisbet. Good evening, ladies. How are you?
Good evening.
How are you?
Good evening. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I got Juggling Jason there with a big smile on his face because he's surrounded by beauty and talent.
Exactly.
Well, obviously, we want to talk to you guys about how you're working out with school and football, and obviously the challenge of COVID for this year. It's been a big thing. Jaden, let's start with you because you're on a big campus, IMG. They have boys, girls, under 19, right through to, I believe, under 13s. But how challenging was it for you?
Like when I first started, or like this year?
This year.
I mean, coming back from being out for 2 seasons, it was a struggle, but I would say honestly the pandemic kind of helped me a little bit, getting on the same leg as everybody else. But it's just taking advantage of the opportunities provided. To be honest, that's what it all comes down to.
And Leilani, you're in a D1 school, so obviously, as much as they love to win football, they want to also ensure that schoolwork is done. So how did you find that challenging?
Yeah, everything went online. Not sure if I was ready for that, but it sort of like worked out. We had like all the resources. We had the tutoring. We had our academic advisors who were like working with us, making sure that like the necessary forms and information was sent to our teachers, like regarding traveling and different things like that. So they definitely worked with us and made sure that we were in like a good space to also juggle, the demands of soccer and school.
Yeah. And Chechule, you're one of those social persons. You like to be around a lot of people, but how did you find it challenging being at IMG?
I definitely it's like so many more rules from last year. So like you can't hang out sometimes like to the time that you want to be, but like I feel like that's helped me only like with my like schoolwork a lot, because like that gives me extra time for my schoolwork and just gives me more time to relax. But like I'm just using my time wisely basically. But it has brought on like a lot of rules, and I am social, so like sometimes that's like tough, but it's been pretty good.
Yeah. Leilani, in Florida State, everybody knows the Seminoles on the football side, the American football side, but that school has a great record on the female soccer side as well. Trying to emulate what they've done in the past in a shortened season. How did you guys find that as a team?
Obviously I can't speak on behalf of everyone on the team, but like I know for me personally, having to quarantine, having to play soccer by yourself isn't the funnest thing, isn't the easiest thing. Trying to do fitness by yourself isn't the most motivational thing in the world. So when I got back, I was just so ecstatic to be able to be around my teammates, and I feel like we all had that same mentality. So like going in and just to be able to train with each other, and then when we were able to find out that we were going to have games, like we were all like over the moon, you know what I mean? So I think we just used that. We executed. We had obviously additional time to practice and go over different things, and I feel like we just executed in the game, and we obviously bought like a lot of good talent. With like the freshmen that came in and different things like that. So they added that little bit of spark that we may have needed compared to last season. But I feel like we all worked well, and we were all just excited to be around each other and play.
Yeah. Jay, any questions?
Yeah, ladies. Now, essentially, you mentioned about you being social. Well, this is definitely for you there, or all you ladies. Social media. Obviously, with COVID and the age, you guys are very active with social media. Has your schools been talking to you guys about the pitfalls of social media? Because we've seen a lot of professional players around, especially in American leagues, whether it's football, whether it's basketball. The social media is getting them in trouble off the field or off the pitch. How is that? Obviously, you could use it as a tool to network, as we all know. What about the pitfalls of social media?
I think that from always in school they've told us the downfalls and what is good about social media, but recently it's been a lot of different things going on in the world that has had a huge impact on everyone. So I know that in leadership class at school they would tell us different ways that we need to use how to use our social media platforms properly. And we looked at different leaders all around the world, not just soccer players, but different sports, people motivational speakers. And we looked at some things that they have used their social media platforms to make a difference in the world. So basically they just want us to see how we can turn all the negative things that may be happening around the world and make it positive.
Yeah. Jaden, you're in a school that's kind of international. I mean, when you start looking at some of the names and some of the places that people have come from, as well as you, Lalani, you're in a international type school because you have girls from all over the world playing together. But how do you guys settle in with the styles in which the coaches want you guys to play, and everybody's trying to work out their strengths in a team?
I think honestly, the coaches know. I mean, since I started IMG, like you said, I go to an international school, so it's not just me that's coming from an international country. I think I wouldn't say I think. I mean, I know for a fact everybody has their own style of play. The coaches take that to their advantage, and they're like, well, not everybody's from America per se, but you guys are coming from all different countries. For instance, having players from Argentina, or having players from Senegal, having players from Bermuda, even having players from America, everybody plays different. So I would just say they take it to the end, they take advantage of it. Yeah, I think that's what it comes down to be honest. Everybody just using everybody's different style of plays and bringing it all together.
Yeah, I think that going on to what Jay said, it's just adapting to everyone around you, and it's creating this environment where you're allowing your players to be themselves, and not just settle for one style of soccer or football. You know what I mean? And it's just it's cool to watch and see what they do over in China that makes them so good. What do they do in these different places, having for example teammates who are coming from different countries, and you see how the style of play matches their personality. I don't know. It's just cool to watch and just be able to be around people that you probably won't get the opportunity to be around.
Yeah, and obviously it's one of those things where you learn their personality. You want people to accept you the way you are, but also you have to be open enough to understand someone coming from a different country has a different culture. Chile, how do you handle that? Just people with different personalities and different cultures, the way they do things are not always the way that you are used to doing things. How do you adapt to that?
For me, I think I just try to be as open to everyone's different like way of living, their way of play. So I try to get to learn everybody's culture and like just see what's so different. Like what do they have different than from what we do in Bermuda? Like I have different friends from all over the world, and I just try to get to learn what they do, where they come from, and like what their ways of living are, like what their style of play is in their like areas.
To add on to what Ani and Che was saying, with it being different coaches and different style of plays, I think at the end of the day, everybody's coming to that particular international school with the same goal. Everybody wants to be the best. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, everybody's there to be the best player they can be and to reach that final ultimate goal.
We're going to take another commercial break, and when we come back, we want to talk about the opportunities at the international level, because obviously you've all heard the news that CONCACAF have put in some tournaments for next year, but we want to talk about you guys' experience thus far and then look towards the next year at the international level. Okay, we'll be right back.
Coconut oil has been popular here in Bermuda as a skin moisturizer for generations, but is sometimes avoided in cookery because of its unhealthy reputation. We've witnessed a change in attitudes as recent findings indicate that coconut oil is actually heart healthy and can enhance our immune systems, increase metabolism, energy and endurance, and improve digestion. Nutiva coconut oil is a superfood in its own right, and this month we're featuring Nutiva organic shortening made with organic coconut and red palm oils and also hemp seed oil. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
And welcome back. We're joined also by Coach Kita. But let me ask you, Leilani, internationally, looking at what you've experienced with the Bermuda national team, whatever age group it has been, how has that helped to create who Leilani is?
I think I say it a lot to like talking to there. I don't think I understand or recognize how important like the journey was, and especially growing up and being raised in Bermuda and like being coached by the people that I was coached by, obviously Coach Kita and the different members of like the BFA and different things like that. It's like, I don't know, I found like my true character while playing for Bermuda. Like I definitely created this like, not the stigma, but like, I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. I've like been around people who have like obviously pushed me, and I feel like I've gotten, both sides of it. I've been able to balance it out, and I've learned a lot of things. And I definitely obviously like thank everyone who was a part of that, especially like playing for Bermuda and being able to just like have a bit of freedom of how I wanted to play and different things like that. And obviously gain like discipline and working on like my focus, which is definitely something that I learned while playing for Bermuda, because Coach Dinkins was always on my butt. But yeah. That's about it.
Yeah. What about you, Jaden?
How have I became the
person you are playing in the international field of Bermuda's women's football?
It's definitely something I just don't take for granted. You know what I mean? You go to other countries and it's not given to you. So that's how I look at it here. It's like, I know that I still have to work for my spot on the team. Every time I put on a Bermuda jersey, it's a blessing, you know what I mean? Like Leilani said, I wouldn't say you become a different person playing for a country, but it definitely humbles you a lot more, you know what I mean? But that's all I can say. I haven't played for Bermuda since 2017. I cannot wait. I just cannot wait. That's what it comes down to.
And Chechele?
I would say that, like, Playing for Bermuda, it definitely helped my development as a player because I knew that going in, I wasn't the strongest person, I wasn't the best person, but I had people on the team that I could look up to, the older girls that I knew I was like, I saw what they were doing and I was like I want to try that. Like I wanted to get to that level so I could put myself in like that competitive like position, you know? So I would say that helped my development a lot, like as a player. And the coaches, like they helped me so much, giving me feedback, telling me like, hey, today you gotta fix this, you gotta fix this. It definitely helps a lot, like wherever I go to play soccer.
Yeah. Jay?
Ladies, the physical part of the game, how are you guys adapting not only from coming from Bermuda, but playing abroad? How are you guys managing the physical side, especially with some of these ladies a lot bigger, a lot taller? How are you guys managing?
I would say all of us, both Che and I, and then Leilani, out there, you have resources so that when it comes to the physical aspect of the sport, it's no issue. You know, we have weight training during the week. We have, I wouldn't even say just the physical part of it. It's a mental game too. We have mental conditioning. We have leadership. You know what I mean? We have nutrition classes. So we have resources that help us navigate through those, paths.
Yeah, and also like knowing that you're going up against some of like the best girls in the country, like it makes you want to be the best, you know, and like it makes you want to work 10 times harder just so you're like stronger, fitter than some of these girls.
Yeah, and I think obviously I can't speak on behalf of everyone, but like America is very different than England. Um, it was a lot of skill based. The girls were really skillful. You know what I mean? They would nutmeg you 6 times and like that would be it and score. But like in America, they're fast, they're strong. You know, the physicality side of it was something that I definitely don't think I was prepared for when I first went into my freshman season. And like in order to be successful at that level, you need to match like the other girls that you're playing against, like not only your teammates but your competitors. Um, so it's like you have to take initiative and you have to, do things and get out of your comfort zone. Like I've done more fitness than I think I've ever have in my life in the last year and a half. It is outrageous, but it definitely prepares you, and it was something that it needs to be improved, and I'm slowly obviously working on it as it goes by. But like I feel like we can all agree that like out there, the girls are good, and everyone is like Jay said, aims to be the best. And I feel like
Well, when you said fitness, Jaden had a big smile on her face.
fitness.
Working hard, having to do the work.
But I'm telling you, I would never ever wish for anybody to be out that long. Like, what? That's why I'm telling you. Like, as much as I hated COVID, I thank COVID, like, to get on the same leg as everybody else, yo. Fitness is no joke, especially like Lake said, when it comes out there, they don't care. They will run you over. They do not care at all.
They're trying to get to what you want to get to as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. We have Coach Kita on as well, but I want to ask this question before we get to Coach Kita. What hearing the news that that CONCACAF have now put in place 2 tournaments starting next year at the senior level, how much does that get your juices flowing? And you have so much competition to try to make this team now. I know the coaches will be looking very hard at how you guys are working out in your off season and then early parts of next year. But how much does that excite you? The fact that you have something at the senior level that you can actually now be playing more regularly, with each other. And I'll start with you, Chichile, as the youngest.
I think for me, it's like really exciting. I'm looking forward to it. I'm just gonna keep working hard, just practicing a lot, trying to get better so I can have a chance on the team. I'm just gonna continue to be strong, and I can't wait for it. It's really exciting.
Leilani?
There we go, in age. All right. Yeah, I mean, like Chase said, it's obviously like exciting. It's just cool to have these opportunities for like women's soccer, women's football. Sorry, I've been out for too long. But like, yeah, it's just cool to be able to just be in an environment where these things are happening. So you're not just like, and it gives like a lot of the girls motivation to be able to say like, you know, it's not just training, or it's not like in the far future, like it's in the near future, and it's like cool to have something to, you know, work towards and want to work towards. And yeah, it's just cool. I'm excited.
Yeah, like both of them said, both Che and Lay. I'm just happy that something's finally, you know, set on the table. It's always like, you know, the guys get these opportunities, but now, you know, it's the girls. Like Che said, it's gonna come down to hard work and who wants it more. I still work hard as if, you know, I have no spot on the team. As if, you know, I'm a new girl coming in. I'm gonna work hard to earn my spot. And that's just that.
Yeah. Coach, good evening. Good evening, Coach.
Yes,
How are you?
I'm good.
Good. Well, we have three of your players on. We've been talking about how they've been working out school and playing, and we're to the exciting part of what's in store for next year. And obviously, they're chomping at the bit to make this team. As a coach, what's your advice?
Sorry guys, my camera's all over the place, but I can't hardly hear on my phone. And my laptop was glitching. So, no, this is probably the most excited I've ever been as a coach. We have 44 players to choose from, and we got to choose 23. Like I have never ever been this excited. Vance, Aaron, and myself, we've worked hard for many years now, and this is the, I mean, I don't even know the word to explain it, but like this is the top of the top. This is the cream of the crop. This is now the best of the best. We now have the best players that Bermuda's probably ever seen. We've had some good players in the past, but we have to be realistic, and you have to think about the evolution of football and where we have gone and where football has gone. You have players in this group that have played against USA. USA are world champions. So you have players that are now, I mean, and you know, Bermuda's unique. So these girls played at under 15 against US. They get an opportunity to play at senior level against that team. There are some people that they played against at U15 for that USA team that's never going to represent the USA again. So we're in a very peculiar and a fantastic position right now. I mean, it's every day. You know, I just talk to the coaches like, guys, man, can we meet so we can discuss next steps? We can discuss the agenda for the women's meeting that we're trying to have next week. We know it's Christmas, we know it's Boxing Day, but you know, the best teams don't have Boxing Day. They don't, you know what I mean? They'll take Christmas, maybe New Year's Day, but you know, the next day they're on the field. You know, those players are on the field, and these girls want it. I mean, you know, Leia and Jaden had me up, and Zakari had me at BFA yesterday. You know, just doing extras. They want to play. These girls want it. They're like, Coach, can we go to the field? Coach, you know what I mean? So it's a coach's dream. Like I am actually living the dream of being in this position. And we have such a strong coaching team as well. You know, we have mental coach. We have, you know, I got Vance, I got Aaron. You know, it's like, honestly, it's so hard to explain how excited I am, how happy I am to be in this position, to have such players at your disposal. You know, just watching these, and I've watched these girls grow. You know, Chechele came to Tatum as a 10-year-old. You know, and you know, she's blossomed. You know, Jaden played under 20s at 12 in Bermuda. You know what I mean? Leilani came to me as a right-footed player. You know, I've spent one-on-one time with her. So right now, I'm actually kind of chilling, just watching it now just happen because they work so hard. You know, you're not gonna find a harder working group. And you know, the coaches are excited. Like I'm like, Maurice, today, I'm like, Maurice, when can I start having small group sessions? I know we can only have 10, but when can I take my 8 players or my 7 players and we 3 coaches? When can we get to the field? You know, so it's now the excitement about let's get them on the field. You know, people are home. Most of them are done the quarantine, so it's now like, can I start seeing my players? I got to get on the field. I got to get up there. But no, to have the players at our disposal that we have right now, going into these friendlies and into these World Cup qualifiers, Bermuda, please support us, because you're gonna be pleasantly surprised. If you haven't come out and seen these girls play, look out. I mean, and I'm gonna stand bold and make that statement that you won't be let down. I'm not speaking and saying that they're gonna do stuff that they're not capable of doing. We got some good players.
Yeah, Coach, you said you've worked with some of these guys since they've been back. What have you seen improve since the last time you saw them?
Well, game awareness, just technique. Like, we don't spend time on technique. I think we think that that's just something that they should know how to do. Back in the day, I grew up playing one bounce, one touch in the backyard. I played 1v1 with Pettis. He beat me every single time, but it just made me a stronger player. They don't really get that opportunity as much. So the technical side of the game kind of gets lost on the female side, because even if they're playing with boys, coaches tend to more gear towards, winning on Saturday. So they don't spend time. But in watching these girls just yesterday, just striking the ball, no goalkeeper, just hitting the net. And I'm like, whew, clean. You know what I mean? It's like, oh my gosh, I can't wait for a game. But they bring back what they have learned. And that's the difference. I was even guilty of it. I was playing overseas, and when I came back, I just fell into how we play in Bermuda. But they bring a different level. They don't lower their standards, and they force their teammates to raise their level. So it's like, guys, we're here for football. I'm not coming back. We had that interview with that young man the other night, and it was like, that's why I asked him that question, sir. When you come back to Bermuda, what do you bring? Do you make your teammates rise to your level? And that's what they do. They make their teammates rise to their level. They don't come back here and say, oh, okay, well, this is Bermuda football. We come to train and we sit down on our cell phones. We take 15 minutes to put on boots. No, they come, they get their boots on. They have that little chat. Come on, we're females. We're going to talk. But it's give me a ball. Let me, like last night when I was up there, I was trying to set the cones and stuff. And it was like, they put those boots on and they went right over to the ball bay. Like, give me a football. And so that's what they bring. And that's where we need them to be, because, if you be told, guys, we're not talking about a football game next year, March, and then nothing else till 2024. We're talking a football game March, a football game possibly June, then October. Internationals, not we're going to play against the under-17 boys. These are international matches, what we've been waiting for. Mm-hmm. So it's so exciting. I mean, every day I look at the list and I'm like, yeah, she's got to get in there. I had an X by her name, or I had a question mark, but what I saw, she has to get in. And so it's a healthy headache. We're going to be, I know Aaron Vance and myself, we're going to be around the table for hours when it comes time to that final selection, because we actually have a group that we know is going to be fighting for spots. Every training session, they're going to be working hard to prove that they should be a part of this.
Yeah. Jay?
Coach, question for you, Coach. Especially with 2020 being the unknown, 2021, I'm pretty sure is going to be unknown when it comes to competition-wise. But I want to get more as far as players being adapting to different styles due to, obviously, COVID. Might not have the players that you might want for the particular tournaments. Playing against teams that you might be scouting now, playing one particular way, but once again, due to COVID, they might have to change up their style of play based on travel. How are you guys going to manage to adapt to different styles depending on where you go or where we play?
Yeah, well, we don't always get an opportunity to scout our opponents, but we have a style of play that we are looking to play. So right now, I'll tell you what, the coaches, we're working on our animation. So because we can't get onto the field, what we're working on now is actually the coaches are putting together a sequence of passes. So playing out of the back, how we would like us to play out of the back, and get that into an animation form so that we can present that to the players, so they can see it before they get on the field, so that when we get into training, they understand that this is what we're looking to do. Should that not happen, we will draw it out. We will use soccer tutor, whatever we have to do to just show them. It may not be the animation, but it will be arrows and movements so that they can understand what it is that we're trying to do. And we've spent some time with these young ladies, so buy-in for us is not that difficult. They tend to buy in what it is that we're selling. They trust us. We spent time building relationships, and it's a beauty because the three of us coaches are involved at the 15, 17, 20, and senior level. We're all involved with these girls, so there's nothing new. They get it. They understand. They know. They probably know us three coaches better than we know them. I can guarantee you, if you ask these girls about each one of us as
Oh, I
coaches,
plan
they'll
to.
probably all say the same thing about each coach.
Oh, I
They
plan
just
to.
know us, right? And then they get
Leilani,
it.
Leilani, let me
It's
ask you, Leilani. Leilani, working with Coach Keita, Coach Vance, and Coach Jenkins, what's some of the things that stand out in your mind about what they demand from you guys?
Hmm. Coach Keita, she likes clean, fast, precise movements. She likes, the repetitive, like getting it right, going over the fundamentals, making sure you got the basics down. Coach Jenkins, he's more of like the tedious little things, earrings, all that little stuff, trying to be as professional as possible. Coach Vance, he's more of like Mason was like the chill, laid back guy who gets the job done. You know what I mean? Who can also come off and give the information off when needed. I'm not sure much I got that right.
you're pretty close.
Jaden is having a good laugh, so Jaden, take it over.
You did. I'm telling you, I was muted. I was saying everything you were saying. Chill, earrings, Coach Keita. She's gonna tell you if you're doing something wrong. She's gonna tell you.
But we make a great team because we definitely bring different things to the table. So Coach Jenkins is very this is how we need it to happen. And this is why we need it to happen. I'm very hard on the technical side because if you ain't got technical ability, like if you can't pass, you really can't play for me. I just can't. It's nothing I can really do for you because you can't pass the ball. So it's like the basic stuff we need to get it right. Passing and receiving. Finishing. So, but I love it. Because we've been on such a journey. It hasn't been easy. I mean, it's been many times, and we've had this in the talk show where we just don't agree. Like, this just stop. But at the end of the day, like right now, I think that our strengths and weaknesses are finally starting to complement each other. So where I may not be as tactical, where, because Angus, you may do this is where this player needs to be when we're playing the ball out of the back. I know where this player needs to be to put the ball away. And it comes from our playing as well. He was a defender, I was a striker. Vance has been in the game so long that he's seen so many situations that he just helps us bring it all together. So it's like, honestly, it's a coach's dream to, as a head coach, to have the support. But now we have the players. Like now I don't have to spend that time on that technical stuff. Like we can get it right. We can watch videos now and say, hey, this is what USA is doing. Here's what we need to do to now absorb that pressure and hit them on the counter. Or, this is what St. Lucia's doing. You know what? We can high press them. We can rest and press them. We can win the ball in the final third and we can go and score. So now we're at that place, but it's been work. These girls at under 15s, we had them up there in pouring rain. They couldn't pass 5 yards. They couldn't take the ball out of the air. Now they can take the ball out of the air from the goal kick over the halfway line and take it out cleanly. So it's been a process. And I almost feel sorry for people that haven't been part of this process because it's been such a great journey. Yes, we've all gone through because I didn't know how to say, but what have I signed up for? What, like, where's the light at the end of this tunnel? But this is the light. Like right now, this is the light. Like I'm so like it consumes me. I seriously, my husband and I were having a conversation. We was talking about something, and he was like, I was like, I don't know how women have time to have other men. I'm like, I barely have time to have one. He's like, no, you have two. Football's the other one. And Marie said, no, tell him football's number one. It's the other one. And I'm like, I said to him, I said, hey, it's about to get worse, sir, because now it's like I wake up in the morning and it's like, okay, I write a little note. During the day, it's like, okay, this is what we need to do. How can we do this? So, this is such an exciting moment for women's football. And if I have a regret, is that this didn't happen sooner for the Shantae Todd's, the Tashana Wades, the Shayra Bows. It didn't happen in their time. Unfortunately, it's past them. they've got commitments, the older they work, people have children now, but, some of the great players of the past if they had this opportunity, we would have been on the world stage, but, it's such a great place to be in.
Chichile, you had Coach Keita since TN Tatum. What do you got to say about her? It's all right. Don't worry about it.
Hey, Jay, be honest, Jay.
No, but I do actually enjoy having Coach Keita as a coach. She's helped me tremendously with my development, just getting on me about the little things that I do need to fix, the things that I need to improve in. She's taught me different things that, like, I didn't even think that I could do half of the stuff that she, believed that I can do. So I do love Coach Keita as a coach.
Any final questions, Jay?
Yeah, ladies, obviously looking at some of these teams, who will be some of your toughest challenges coming ahead?
Competition in school wise or international wise?
Let's go start with school first and then international.
Okay. Well, for me anyway, obviously North Carolina's up there. Yeah, but it's all schools at this level have the ability to pull something out of their locker. You know what I mean? So it's even if you're playing a team that's ranked 200 and something, or you're playing the number 1 ranked team in the country, it's your mentality into that game has to be as though they're the best in the country. Otherwise, there's too much room for error. And that's when you become complacent and you start, allowing yourself to make mistakes that you probably shouldn't make. But I feel I think honestly, the biggest competitor is going to be just how we adapt next year. Obviously, this COVID stuff, it's just our mentality and our willingness to, stick to it and be able to grind it out. And, throughout the season, obviously it's going to be definitely a unique one. It's not going to be the most predictable season, but I feel if we are able to do that, the soccer side of it, we've been playing for so long, that should come pretty easy.
I think honestly, when it comes to the season in high school, I feel it's just always unpredictable, to be honest. But then again, my teammates have played against these guys, in the past years, versus me who have, I haven't. But should I take every game as it comes? You know what I mean? I'm worried about the next game I play, not a game I'm going to play 3 months down the line. So, yeah. I don't know what Chichile's got to say about high school football, but
yeah, I agree with you, because for us at IMG, we never really know what the team that we play is like. Well, some of us know how they might have played last year or the years before, but we can't really tell what we're getting hit with, because they could have added new players, a whole new different style of play. So I think that you just need to go in as it's just another game that you really are trying have to win,
Well, ladies, I want to thank you for your time. Enjoy your time in Bermuda. Obviously, Coach Keita is going to have a workout plan for you to do at some point in time. If not her, Denkins or Vance will be getting in touch with you guys to do something of the sort. But good luck over this Christmas period. Enjoy it with your families. But don't forget, it's still a lot of work to be done. And Coach Keita, I'll keep you encouraged because the work that you guys have put in over these years, the rewards, we'll see some in 2021. All right?
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with more Island Stats Sports Show after this message from our sponsor.
Every resident of Bermuda deserves to spend their final days with dignity. They also deserve access to privacy for themselves and their loved ones. Although Agape House has lovingly wrapped its arms around thousands of patients and their families, it can no longer meet the needs of our community. There is an urgent need for a new facility, and we need your help to make that happen. Donate today by going to agiftforagape.com or calling 232-0859. Help give Agape House a new home. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
Well, Jay, it kind of gives you a lot of hope hearing those young ladies talk and hearing how much excitement in the voice of the coach of what is to be ahead in 2021 if we can finally get back into some international play, because that ultimately is going to be the key, what COVID does and how countries are adapting to the new norm, because COVID will be the new norm for quite some time.
Earl, I tell you, Earl, just listen to these young ladies. I'm gonna say young ladies because it's you can hear the maturity level, and even at a high school age. But what I've always wanted this show and all the shows we've done in the past to lead to is us as people telling our stories. And I would hope that young ladies, and I hope coaches will have young ladies who are into football, into soccer, listen to these conversations of these young ladies, listen to all these interviews, because that's how we get to know each other. Obviously, these young ladies you can see what happens when you stay together, the relationships they build. You can see what happens when three coaches have stayed together for X amount of years. You can see what happens, what comes out of that when you have consistency, you have persistence. These are things that lead to success. But when you have these young ladies telling their stories, then there might be a younger one saying, okay, I'm going through that, or that's that. So now, back in our day, Earl, we had those cards, as they say. We look up our favorite players on cards or in a book or in a magazine. Well, guess what? We have, for this age, for this generation, it's social media. It's interviews like this. I mean, let's think about it, Earl. When was your first interview as a player? How old were you?
I can't even remember.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't as young as these young ladies.
Oh, no, not as young as them. No.
You see what I'm saying? So to find out Earl Basin's story at 14, 15, 16, you better know his family, because that's the only way they can tell you. You know what I'm saying? Where others now and other young ladies can actually learn a lot from these ladies during interviews and things like this.
Definitely. Well, Jay, let's get a quick update from our overseas reporters. We're going to start with the one and only Vernon A. Springer, and he'll be followed by Ann Burke out of Barbados.
Good day, Earl. Season greetings from the Sports Media in St. John's, Antigua and Barbuda, and to Island Stats, and to all of your listeners and viewers who continue to support your program over the years. 2020 for sports was an international tough year. And for sports administrators in the Caribbean, it even contributed to a number of major challenges. As you would know, in the past, most of the national associations would have been depending on the National Olympic Committees, or as we would say, the ATM, the governments, the Ministry of Sports in the respective territories, to get their fundings off to be able to send athletes to organize competitions. The private sector has been drained to the point that even if you go at this time to ask them for support, they're going to be telling you about the pandemic, the coronavirus. It now means that a number of sports in the Caribbean will be greatly affected. And I'm talking about small sports, not the sports like FIFA football, which receives 1.5 million, so most of those associations can be able to dance around it. You would also have the situation where the IAAF or the World Athletics will be supporting athletics, and then you have maybe some of the other smaller associations who will mainly struggle. In an Olympic year in 2021, it now means that the spotlight is going to be on the Caribbean, and this could be the shining moment coming out of this pandemic. But I'm deeply concerned about youth sports in the Caribbean and where we're going from here, because the new norm is going to affect a lot of things going forward. Protocols have to be put in place. Even when you're setting up tournaments, you have to make sure you get clearance from governments. That is a whole new science by itself. and associations are going to have to come up to grips with it. One of the things which I feel that could be able to help for 2021 is that there needs to be a stakeholders meeting throughout the entire Caribbean, both for the National Olympic Committees, for the Ministry of Sports, and also for the member federations, because it's not going to be business as usual. And what is going to happen if we don't start having that discussion now, it generally means that youth sports for both boys and girls will be affected, and you won't have the quality. You have to give a level of assurance also to parents that it is okay for their children to be involved in sports. And so mechanisms have to be put in place, education has to be put in place, protocols have to be put in place, and also models. What happens in Bermuda? Can it work in Antigua? Can it work in St. Vincent? Can it work in Trinidad? All those things, the conversations need to be taking place. And I think we have a responsibility as media practitioners to be able to change that. In terms of sports, you would know that the Antigua and Barbuda Cricket Association, they just finished their 10-10 competition. That was won by PIC, the Bertha Blackhawks. You would have a competition which is being finalized in Nevis as we speak, a T20 tournament. And just to let you know that for 2021, the Leeward Islands Hurricanes will be camping in Antigua and Barbuda for the Super 50. And then we'll also have the West Indies women team. They're flying to Antigua to start their preparation for their training camp. So quietly but surely, you would know that a number of activities will be coming back on stream. The Super 50 for Cricket West Indies is expected to be in Antigua and Barbuda, pending government clearance, but I think that will be on the card. That is okay. And then you have the Sri Lankan tour. So in terms of sports on the worldwide base, the NBA started back. The Los Angeles Lakers, they went down in the opening game, but it's going to be an exciting season to look forward to. And sports generally throughout the entire Caribbean, it's just more or less going to be a wait and see. But hey, Earl, it was really indeed a pleasure working with you, and I look forward in starting off 2021 some point in time. Just want to just say to you, season greetings from Vast Sports Media, from the management and staff and sponsors and everybody who supported me. Thanks for giving me this opportunity to be able to get my message out and to be able to contribute in a very big way. God bless you, and hey, keep the faith. And Bermuda, hey, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to you guys from Vast Sports Media, Vernon A. Springer. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Hi, Earl, and I just want to send my season's greetings over to you there in Bermuda, to you and your family. I hope that this season brings the joy of love and family and togetherness as it usually would, even despite we're fighting this global pandemic. So I do hope that Bermuda has a wonderful Christmas as we here in Barbados gear up to enjoy the holidays as well. From the sporting end, we still have a lot going on in Barbados. Can you imagine coming on to the end of the year? Usually around this time, you're struggling to find sports going, but we are definitely not starved of sports for sure. From the cricket end, our local cricketers are actually engaged in a very important tournament. It's called the Legends 50 Over Tournament, and it features 3 teams: the Garfield Sobers team, the Sir Wes Hall team, and the Sir Charlie Griffith 11 team. And basically, these 3 teams comprise of players who will be vying for a spot in the Barbados Pride team as we head into next year's regional competition. Now, the Cricket West Indies 50 over regional competition is expected to get going sometime in late January, early February, and therefore we want our boys to be ready and we want to pick the best unit that we can have. So therefore, what the Barbados Cricket Association has done is to create 3 teams out of those players who will be vying for a spot in the final 11, or should I say the final squad, which should make up between 11 to maybe 20 players, including the reserves, for the upcoming regional tournament. And therefore, throughout the past week, they have been engaged in 50 over games. Today, they're actually playing one as well. And from there, the selectors are in the stands looking down to see who are the performers and who will make the shortlist for the team. So cricket is really in full gear. It's over at Kenton Oval, the mecca of cricket here in the region, and of course, our star facility here in Barbados. And it's free to the public. So those persons who want to take a break from the Christmas shopping and preparation for the big day can always go over to Kensington and take in a bit of the cricket, because the guys are still out and about on the field. I would have mentioned as well in my last report that we were gearing up for our historic Garrison Savannah Horse Racing Night, the first horse racing on the lakes. And of course, we are proud to say that we now have the only facility in the Eastern Caribbean that can have racing at night. This is horse racing. And on that backdrop, we have a 13 race card. It's one of the biggest cards that we've ever seen at the Garrison Savannah set for Boxing Day, because I guess now we have the lights, we can extend the number of races that we do have. And therefore, the Barbados Turf Club has taken upon themselves to make the annual Boxing Day race day bigger and better, because we've added some extra races to make it a 13 race card. Usually that card will be about 6 to 8 races, but now we have 13 going, and those the latter, of course, being run under lights. So already we're utilizing the fact that we do have lights on the track. So basically that's it for us. Our annual awards ceremonies have all been canceled from earlier in the year. Of course, it would be unfair to judge the performances of our sports persons and sports personalities, because some sports got going and some didn't. So the National Sports Council decided not to have the annual national awards, and the Barbados Olympic Association also made that decision not to have their awards ceremony. So therefore, we wouldn't have a sports personality of the year for this year, but we did have some good performances from those athletes who would have competed, and sportsmen and women, can't only say athletes, sportsmen and women who would have competed throughout the year. So basically, that's it from me. Once again, I'm sending all the blessings over to you in Bermuda to have a wonderful Christmas, and I look forward to hearing from you again next week.
Well, Jay, both Vernon and Ann have been gracious enough to give us a weekly report to bring a bit of what's going on in the Caribbean to us live and direct. So, you know, just having that adds to this particular show. I do take time to add to theirs when they're asking me to give them a bit of what's going on in Bermuda. So, you know, we're working together, collaborating around the Caribbean, which is something I think is long overdue. And I look forward to it even more.
I'm smiling. I'm not to cut you off. I'm smiling because, number one, first of all, thanks to Brennan Springer and Marie Burke for having these conversations with us too, and enlighten us. We had a conversation last week, and I believe it was last week's show. We talked about the economic side of the COVID regarding sports and what's the first things to get cut. And to hear that come out of Brennan Springer, the same situations are happening where he is.
Yeah.
This is what I've been trying to say for many years. Yes, Bermuda is another world as we would like to think, but we're very much the same as everywhere else when it comes to economic problems, or when it comes to sports, or when it comes to arts, or the lack of support or support. But we all know once we get into these economic times, certain things will get cut first. So to know that, and what he's pushing for, and what we've been pushing for many years, is to have the collaboration throughout the region, so we can share resources, we can share ideas, we can, like you're saying, okay, if Bermuda's doing something, how can we manage it here, and vice versa. And I think just knowing that these organizations, all the stakeholders, whether it's governments, whether it's the national, we have our national security, whether the health departments, I think during this COVID, and once again, look at the good side of this COVID, I think during this COVID, it gave us the opportunity to have more conversations. I mean, this show has come out of COVID.
Yeah.
You know, and once we started the show, then, you know, obviously the relationship you have with Vernon Springer and Anne Marie Burke, that's come in. So just think of, without COVID, we probably wouldn't be here at this moment, but we are here. And that's one thing, Earl, I just want to say thank you again for having these type of shows, because not only we get to talk and share light on what the great things our local athletes are doing, but getting to hear athletes around our region. I do.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I want to say to you, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, buddy.
Yeah, it's
now, before we go, because I know you want to end the show. Before we go, I mean, I know it's tough. What sports are on Boxing Day? Because people might want to know what's actually going to be on Boxing Day. Because normally it's so much going on. What sports is actually on Boxing Day, Earl Bass? And what will you be? Where will you be traveling to with your camera? Okay, I think I got my answer.
You got your answer.
Okay, so let me flip it up for you then. So this is probably the first Christmas in many, many moons Earl Bass has been able to sit still and enjoy what favorite part of the Christmas dinner? What is your favorite dish in the Christmas dinner that you have to have?
Pie.
Which one? Farina or cassava?
Cassava.
With meat, without meat?
Chicken.
You have to have.
Pretty much.
Now, are you the type to have it all day and the next day and for breakfast, brunch, and dinner?
No. I think during the day.
Yes.
And then when I feel like it.
Mm.
One thing about the cassava, you could freeze it and take it out when you get it cut up and freeze it, and then take it out when you feel like it. And one of those things, yeah. Because it's not. Although a lot of people just eat it around Christmas time, and when you know you have it,
like a little piece of pie,
Oh, boy. You know it.
It's amazing how every culture has that special time of year that is celebrated not only with food, but everybody has that special dish that they love at that time. And I just hope once again all our families, your family, our families, our Bermudian families, we have a safe Christmas. But also, obviously, it's going to be a little bit different because we can't spend as much time we would like to have with our families. But keep everybody in mind.
Sure. Zoom eating. Zoom.
That's a new one. Zoom eating.
Yeah, Zoom eating. Zoom bringing in Christmas. You know how you have these house parties. Well, you can have a house party on Zoom. You just have to have your own, and
Yeah, you're right.
one person playing music. I've got your job, DJ. One person playing music, and everybody else just listening and dancing where you want to dance and talking to whoever you want to talk, and the conversation just good. So you got to get creative.
2020. Right? I mean, we've done it all year.
Yeah.
Are we having a show next week?
Gotta
ask you.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's next week.
Next week. Yeah. Yes. Even if it's a shorter version, we will have a show.
You know what? Let's recap 2020.
It'll be like this.
I know.
We'll give it some thought, and we'll have we
do have highlights in 2020, and we will give some highlights from 2020. As much as you don't think it may be any, there is definitely
some.
Great feel-good stories. So join us next week.
Yeah.
For our live show in 2020. Please hurry up, 2021.
Merry Christmas, brother. Merry Christmas to all our viewers. Have a good night.
Good night.